and welcome to the Blindfold Chess Podcast.
This week, we are looking at a 5-time U.S. Women's Olympiad participant, a 2-time Women's World Chess Championship participant, a 21-time U.S. Women's Championship participant, and a lover of all things penguins, Women Grandmaster Tatev Abrahamyan. Born in Armenia, Tatev learned to play chess at the age of 8 when her father took her to the Chess Olympiad of 1996, which took place in her home country. While there, she met Grandmaster Judit Polgar, who was 18 at the time, competing in the open division of the Olympiad and was the only woman in the top 10 in the world. Tatev had commented, quote, "I was in complete awe. My first thought was, I want to be just like her," end quote. She began to train and study. 3 years later, she played in the Under-12 European Youth Chess Championship, finishing in a 3-way tie for first, but took home third on tiebreaks. The following year, she had established her FIDE rating at 21-13. In 2001, her family moved from Armenia to the United States, and it did not take her long to start making waves in the United States. Her first tournament was the 37th Annual American Open, where she finished with a score of 4.5 out of 8, but it was good enough for a provisional rating of 2266, which is above the threshold for the United States National Master title from one tournament. 2 years later, she played at the U.S. Junior Championship, finishing in the middle of the pack of 10 players, but she was also the only female player in the tournament. The next year, in 2004, she participated in her first U.S. Women's Championship. She placed 6th out of 7 behind the likes of Jennifer Shahade, Irina Krush, and Anna Zatonsky. Later in the year, at the age of 17, she played in her first U.S. Chess Championship. Back then, the men and women were combined into a mixed Swiss system tournament featuring 64 players. There were 7 women participating in this event, and the victor of this tournament was 16-year-old Hikaru Nakamura with a 7 out of 9 score, and he was the youngest to win the U.S. Championship. Tatev finished with a 4.5 out of 9, which finished her in 32nd. She picked up a Women's International Master norm as a result, and she finished in a tie with Rusudan Golditiani for the top 2 women performers. She played a 2-game playoff against Rusudan, but ended up 0-2. In 2006, she was back at the U.S. Chess Championship. This time, they separated the players into 2 groups of 32 players, with 7 women in each group. In her division, she finished 25th, being the second highest performing woman. A couple of months later, Tatev earned the title of Life Master, which in the United States means that you have played 300 tournament games above the U.S. chess rating of 2200. And you do those 300 games above 2200 in a row. That same month, she played in the 17th Under-18 Girls Pan American Youth Tournament in Ecuador, finishing with a perfect score of 9 out of 9, increasing her FIDE rating to 2292. 2007, back at the U.S. Women's Championship, she finished 8th out of 10. Being at the U.S. Women's Championship will become a recurring event for the next several years. In January of 2008, Abrahamyan picked up her Life Senior Master title, which meant she had played 300 games in a row above the U.S. rating threshold of 2400. She placed 4th in the U.S. Women's Championship, and she played in her first Chess Olympiad for Team USA, where she took home bronze behind Georgia and Ukraine. In 2009, Tatev finished 5th at the U.S. Women's Championship. 2010, she placed 2nd at the U.S. Women's Championship, half a point behind Irina Krush. Abrahamyan's play allowed her to collect the 9 Queens Goddess Chess Fighting Award for her aggressive and fighting style of play. As a result of finishing in the top 3, she qualified for the 2012 Women's World Chess Championship. In her second round of going to the Olympiad, Team USA placed 5th, and in 2011, she placed 2nd out of 8 at the U.S. Women's Championship. For this tournament, the top 4 players participated in a round robin, where Tatev met Anna Zatonsky in the finals, where Zatonsky came away with the victory. That same year, she picked up her Women's Grandmaster title, which FIDE requires a rating above 2300 of at least 30 games, as well as 2 Women's Grandmaster norms. If that wasn't enough, she also had her focus split between chess and studying, as she earned a dual degree from the California State University, Long Beach for psychology and political science. The next year, she went back to the U.S. Women's Championship in 6th place and back to the Olympiad. This time, Team USA placed in 10th. Toward the end of the year, Abrahamyan played in her first Women's World Chess Championship, a 64-player knockout tournament to see who would become the Women's World Champion. She was seeded 51st and faced Alexandra Kostenyuk, the 14th seed, where she lost and was eliminated 1/2 to 1.5. In 2013, she placed 3rd at the U.S. Women's Championship. 2014, she finished in a 3-way tie for 1st at the U.S. Women's Championship, where Irina Krush ended up the winner after rapid playoff games. Again, by finishing in the top 3, she had qualified for the 2015 Women's World Championship. Tatev also played in the Olympiad. This time, Team USA finished in 8th place. The next year, she finished 7th at the U.S. Women's Championship and entered the Women's World Championship as the 53rd seed. Her round 1 opponent was Dronovali Harika, the 12th seed. This time, Tatev ended up 0-2 and was eliminated. 2016, she finished 2nd at the U.S. Women's Championship, and when it came time for the Olympiad, Tatev chose not to play in the event due to the political situations and conflicts between her home country of Armenia and the Olympiad's site location in Azerbaijan. She did return to the team in 2018 when they played in Georgia, where Team USA came in 7th. The following year, Abrahamyan reached her peak FIDE rating of 2397 after the 2019 National Open. To round out her participation at the U.S. Women's Championship, in 2017 she came in 8th, in 2018, 6th, 2019, 3rd, 2020, 5th, 2021, 4th, 2022, 5th, 2023, 4th, and 2024, 9th. Last year marked her 21st straight U.S. Women's Championship participation. Today, you can see Abrahamyan assisting at the St. Louis Chess Club with her trademarked, dynamically dyed hair. She routinely plays in Blitz Tournament. She is a teacher, a commentator, and a journalist. She sits at the 7th highest rated woman player in the United States and the 141st ranked woman in the world. For today's game, we are traveling to the United States Championship back in 2006. Tatev Abrahamyan versus Natasha Christiansen. Now, if we're ready, let's begin.
1. Pawn to e4. Pawn to c5. 2. Knight f3. Pawn to g6. 3. Pawn to d4. Pawn c captures d4. 4. Knight captures d4. Knight c6. 5. Knight c3. Bishop g7. 6. Bishop e3. Knight f6. 7. Bishop c4. Queen a5.
Totally not from personal experience, but after Black's move of Queen to a5, what is under threat of capture in White's camp? That would be the e4 pawn, because the knight on c3 is currently pinned.
Eight. Castle kingside. Castle kingside. 9. Knight b3. Queen d8. Pawn to f4. Pawn to d6. Pawn to h3. Bishop d7. Queen e2. Knight a5. Knight captures a5. Queen captures a5. Bishop b3. Bishop c6. Bishop f2.
What is the purpose of White's move of bishop to f2? That is covering the e4 pawn because Black has two attackers on it, the bishop on c6 and the knight on f6, while White only had the protection of the knight on c3. Now the queen on e2 balances that threat. It also renews White's threat of playing pawn to e5.
Rook a to c8. Rook a to d1. Pawn to a6. Bishop h4. Rook f to e8.
All of White's pieces are optimally placed. However, having optimally placed pieces does not win you the game. What does Tatev need to do now in order to increase her advantage? The right idea for White is to start to crack into Black's pawn structure around the king.
Pawn to e5. Knight d7. Pawn to e6. Pawn f captures e6. Bishop captures e6 check. King h8. Pawn to f5. Rook c7. Pawn f captures g6. Pawn h captures g6.
White's objective of breaking into the pawn structure of Black has been successful so far. Most of Black's pieces are also on the queen side, however White is still missing a type of knockout blow. If you're stepping into Tatev's shoes, what move do you play in this position?
Rook f5.
I love the move Rook to f5 so much. It's a clearance sacrifice where White is trying to just get rid of her rook in order to get the queen onto the h5 square for checkmate. The second purpose of this move, White is breaking up the communication that the queen on a5 has over the h5 square. And for added bonus, the rook on f5 is now targeting the queen on a5, forcing black to make a decision about the rook that is on f5.
Queen captures f5.
Let's say black did not give up her queen and instead played a move like queen to b6. What would be the follow-up for white in that position? White would start with rook to h5 check. If black were to play pawn on g6 captures on h5, the white queen on e2 can capture on h5 for check. The bishop on g7 would move to h6 as an only move, and then white can play queen captures h6 for checkmate, because the light-squared bishop on e6 is taking out the flight square of the king of g8.
Bishop captures f5. Pawn g captures f5. Queen h5 check. Black resigns.
Why did black resign in this position? If you said because white is up a queen, that's only half true. If you were to do the material count, white is actually only up 1 point. Both sides have 2 minor pieces. Both sides have a rook. Black has an extra minor piece and an extra rook for the queen. The reason that black resigned in this position is because after a move like king to g8, white will pick up the free rook that is on e8, and with that level of a material advantage, white can convert this very easily. The pinnacle of consistency, attending every U.S. Women's Championship for 21 straight years, a 5-time Olympiad participant, a 2-time World Women's Championship participant, a senior life master, a teacher, a commentator, and journalist, Tatev has won the hearts of many chess fans across the U.S. and the world. So that is all that we have for this week. Tune in next time, where we will continue to work on our blindfold skills and look at another game of the Masters.